Hello there, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for being with me today. Hope you're well, hope you're having a good day or good evening or whatever time it is wherever you are. We are back here in Tiny Zoo, and in our last episode we built this exhibit area over here. So lots of exhibit animals underneath and a shelter over the top, and that was pretty cool. Today we are moving over here, and I did give you a little spoiler at the end of the last episode about what we were building and where. So it's over here, and you'll see I've already got a little bit started here. And this is going to be an Arctic fox habitat. So my thinking was I wanted, obviously they're quite small animals so they don't need a lot of space, so I wanted to fit something in here, allowing space for another one to come in here between these two pathways. So I wanted it needed to be something quite simple, so I wanted to do the main part of the exhibit was going to be this this building in the middle here that you can see I've started on. This does change a bit in a minute, but yeah, I wanted a main structure in the middle here, something a bit of a different shape, and then there would be some water and lots of rocks and stuff like that. So they're pretty simple animals, Arctic foxes. They don't need anything too complicated. Like I said, they're pretty small, so an area this sort of size would be plenty for them. So this is made up of many different pieces. It's always very tricky when you're building odd shaped buildings like this because they never quite fit together properly. You can see I've not quite finished this corner off here, needs one of these beams on it. So it does develop a little bit as I go along. So each of these has got 11 pieces. So it's a basic limestone wall. You've got a bit of trim at the bottom. You've got these limestone columns at the side. You've got another bit of decorative limestone trimming at the top. And then you've got these little individual pieces here as well. So yeah, there's quite a few little pieces all put together there. I've also put in connected this walkway here along the back of the building here into this walkway. Obviously I've still got a bit of a gap here that I need to fill in. So this is a fake pathway essentially. I've not actually continued the path underneath here yet. I think I do put a bit in here later on, but I knew I wanted to bring the barrier for this habitat right up to the edge of this, which I knew might cause me problems putting in a bit of pathway. So I didn't want to put the pathway in just yet because I knew it wasn't actually needed, because it doesn't matter that whether there be a pathway there or not from the game's point of view, because it's not like I'm actually open to the public, and obviously my zookeepers can just walk around the outside or whatever. So yeah, so that's something that I do in this zoo. I have fake pathways and things sometimes just where it's appropriate or where it looks good and where it makes things make a bit more sense. So that's yeah, so that's the start. The other bit that I actually do, I think I do it in this episode, I believe right at the end, I do continue this pathway along the back of this the badger habitat here and the lemur habitat here, and it comes all the way around the outside and connects into this pathway over here. I think that is part of this episode right at the end, and the reason I did that is because I knew that my next episode that I'm currently in the middle of building actually was going to go in this area here. So I wanted that pathway in place before I started working on the next episode over there. But I'm not going to give you too many spoilers for that just yet. I might give you a spoiler at the end of this episode if you're lucky. But for now, let me load up my next save point, and we'll see the evolution of this building. So I decided I wanted this building to be raised up a bit, just to add a bit of interest and height into the habitat. It naturally, obviously it was very flat, and I just thought it looked a bit better if this was raised up, and obviously I was going to put some water in here which would create a sort of a sunken area, so I wanted that contrast, but it also allowed me to do something around the back here that I thought would look pretty cool, which was to put a window in here and create a small viewing balcony where people can come up and actually look inside and watch the animals in their home. So this was the first iteration of that, which doesn't last. The pathways, it's very hard to do these sort of small raised pathways and then decorate them and make them look good. So obviously because of what I'm doing with this zoo, where I have fake pathways, I then decided I might as well just get rid of this and just make a completely fake raised pathway and step system coming from here up to the window here. So that is what I'm going to be doing next. But yes, just so you can see the evolution of the idea, at least there. And then obviously I would have decorated this to hide all these edges and that, but it's hard with these things. It's hard to decorate this and make it look good, particularly because you end up with these raised curbs down the side of any pathway that's not flat on the ground. You have these curbs which are really annoying because it's very hard to hide them. So yeah, kind of frustrating that, but there we go. So the building itself, I've put a very basic roof on. I don't like roofs. Roofs are not easy to do, I'll be honest. It's certainly not my strength. Round ones like this are pretty straightforward, but you'll see I have done that a fair bit. These ones, actually I'm very happy with these ones because they do look significantly different. But it's a very simple technique to do these round roofs. So you've got one here, I use them over here in the Ibex. These are the Lima ones. I don't think I've done too many other ones actually, but it's something it's easy to do, but it's also a bit lazy, if I'm honest. The thing is, it's either that as a custom roof or in-game square roofing. So when you do a building like this, which is an odd shape, I think this is, what is it? Is it a hexagon? Octagon? How many sides has that got? 8. Octagon, I think. I think that's 8. I can't count. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, 9. 10 sides. So what is that? A pentagon? Is that 10? I think that's 10. A pentagon. It's very, very tricky to make a pentagon-shaped roof. I could do it, but actually, I wanted this to be a round roof, and again, it was kind of an aerial thing. I like the look of the round shape from up here, so that is why I went with round. There we go. Plus, I'm not going to lie, it's just a quicker and easier process to make round roofs than it is to make something like a hexagon. It's quite a long-winded affair doing other stuff like that. Because I just taking you back over here to our binturong habitat here. This was essentially a pentagon, I believe. So this is the sort of thing you can do, but when you're making these large ones like this, it's a bit easier because you've got these nice long pieces to use. But even here, when you get to this stage, you've then got to use something in a different direction to fill in the small gaps. This building that we're doing here is already pretty small, and it's kind of hard to find small pieces in the game to fill in the tiny little gaps you would need to fill in on this if it was a hexagon shaped roof. And it particularly wouldn't look good from the inside either, whereas these runs do look pretty good from the inside. So that is my reasoning behind why I have a round roof on a pentagon shaped building. I do make a small adjustment to this roof actually, which you'll see a bit later on, because it did look a little bit plain like this, so I give it a bit more detailing later on, but you'll get to see that soon. Yeah, so there we go. So that was my thinking here. So this all disappears and I redo this, and I think that's probably what I do next. I think it took me quite a while to build all of this, so that's probably what I got on with next, I seem to recall. So let me load that up, shall we, and we'll take a look. Okay, I have a slight correction to make from my last little bit of recording. My girlfriend has corrected me because I've been an idiot and I called this a pentagon. Well, of course, pentagon is 5 sides. She reckons that a 10-sided building like this would be a decagon, which kind of makes sense. It's not one that I've heard before, but actually dec does make sense because dec is 10. So yeah, so there we go. I'm going to be calling this a decagon building. So there we go. So my apologies for being stupid, quite frankly. Right, so let's move on with what I've done here. This is the beginnings of my raised steps and viewing platform. So it's a pretty simple structure, but it's just very long-winded to do. So these are just planks of wood, all manipulated at the right angle to create a rough edge, and that edge is then covered up with these nice thick beams. So I build these quite simply, where you have the beam like that, and then you can just move it along, and then just turn it. Although actually it's better if you do it the other way around, like that. And then you can just drag it and turn it to get it to the right angle to cover up the edge as you need to. So this is kind of halfway through the process here. Again, I've used the beams as the cross beams for the main sort of step ends as well, eventually coming right down to here. I do open this last one up a bit more actually to make it a bit wider. But yeah, I think once this is done, this does look really nice. Obviously at the moment it's a work in progress, so it's a little bit odd, but it's good. I love that you can do this sort of thing. Obviously it's not a practical thing, no one can actually walk up it, but it looks good, you know, and that's what I'm all about in this game, and particularly in this zoo, having these nice sort of fake pathways and things does work really nicely, actually. So yeah, so that's all I was working on in this cut. As you can see, nothing else has changed at all. It really was just very time consuming. It probably took me, I don't know, 45 minutes to do this. Not up to this point, but altogether, once you see what else I do to this, it was quite a lot of time spent on a very unusable bit of pathway, but I think the results were worth it in the end. So let me load up the next save point, and I think I'll probably just continue with this and get it all finished before I move on to the rest of the habitat. And there we go, this is our finished stairway. So you can see I've completed the edging here with the beams, and then used the beams down to create the walls all the way around the edge. And no, I've not done on this side yet. I forgot to do this side. I do this in the end, but they all come down here to create this inner wall as well. And then I wanted to do something with the barrier which was a little bit different. I didn't want it all looking like a normal fence as such. So these are just posts that I've sunk in all the way along the edge, and then just made them all random heights to make it look nice. So yeah, there we go. There is our raised platform. So you can see why it took me quite a while, but it was worth it. I think it looks really good. Like I said, I opened up this end, made it a bit wider here. Had to turn the planks sideways to fit them in the right way, and I love it. I think that looks really, really nice actually. So it's well worth all the time I spent on it. The barrier is now in as well, so I've used this wooden log look all the way around the edge here, and along this side here. So we're getting there. We are getting there. This is what I added to this the building roof as well. So these are bamboo canes that I've painted white, and it just adds a little bit more to this building, mainly because of the animal that I was putting in. That's why I've made them white, because I was putting in the Arctic foxes. And obviously this grass will all disappear because they're Arctic foxes and they like it to be a bit rocky and dirty kind of thing. So that was why I decided to put the white on the top there, sort of keeping with the theme of the colour. So everything is brown, grey, white. You know, those are the only colours that I wanted around here, because of the animal that's going in, and the animal will be going in the next cut actually. So let me move it on. Actually, I'm going to leave it around here and get another view of my lovely staircase, because I'm very proud of this staircase. I think it works out really nicely. Right, so let's move on and see what I got up to in the next cut. Right, clearly I got quite carried away in this next cut and basically finished off the habitat. So I apologise for that. You don't really get to see a lot of my process, but you know, it's a pretty simple habitat to finish off anyway. So let me just walk you through what I've done. As you can see, our adorable little Arctic foxes are in. I mean, how cute do they look? You would want to cuddle that, wouldn't you? Look at that. Look at that little face. Oh, they're so adorable. They really are great. So we have 4 of them in here. I could easily put more in. Like I say, they are small, and this habitat is a good size for them. In fact, is there more than 4? No, there is just 4, isn't there? Yes. So they've got toys as well. Let me start off on the outside. So the barrier, I decided, because they're so small and because this is as small as a barrier that you can make, I decided to put windows around the entire edge of the habitat. There we go, my speedy camera moving there, so you can see all the way around the outside there are windows, because little kids won't be able to see over here, and it really gets you down to the level of the animals. You know, as you're looking in, you're right down on the ground with them. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that was the first decision that I made. Let's look along here. So I did put a bit of pathway under here because I wanted to get some benches in. So I filled the little gap in along the back. I put a bit of pathway in, and I've got 3 benches there, 3 benches there, with a food dispenser, a bit of chief beef in the middle there, and a bin at the end. So that just gives people the opportunity to just sit down here. That'd be quite a nice little place to sit down and have a break, and potentially watch the little foxes running around inside there. So in the actually no, hang on, let's continue around the outside first, because I edged the entire floor with this rock. So you'll see that all the way around this edge here as well. It's a simple technique. It's one that I've used many times before, and it just blends everything together nicely. So that goes all the way around there. There was a gap here because I wanted to bring the barrier in to meet this wooden edge here, so it created a small triangle here. So I simply put some soil down, a few little shrubs, and one of my favourite umbrella trees in that corner there. And then in the habitat, as you can see, there are some rock formations. I've painted the whole thing with dirt because I didn't want any grass in here. That's not the sort of environment that these Arctic foxes would want. So there's various just sort of piles of rocks, most of which I think the foxes can climb on. Can they? Yes, some of them they can climb on in places. They can get around most of the habitat, at least. That's the main thing. So you've got rocks, you've got some basic shrubs, you've got some of these nice little climbers just clinging to the rocks. Here, oh, look at that! He's jumping in and out of his cardboard box. That's great, isn't it? So clearly they have a few toys. They've got some food items around. Actually, that needs to be sunk into the ground a bit better, doesn't it? They have their water at the front here. I didn't decorate the water. Don't know why. It just didn't feel like I wanted too much vegetation in here, because again, because of the environment that these animals would live in, I didn't want this to look really lush and green. So the colour palette is fairly basic in here. It is just some simple greens and some berries, because even up in sort of Arctic places you'll still find, well, not right up in the Arctic, but you'd still find some sort of berry bushes in very harsh environments. The trees that I've decided to go for were these Dahurian larch trees, again because of the colour. It gives you that sort of impression of sort of almost not dead trees, but you know, sort of autumnness. Just keeps the colour palette down. And these little what's this one? A polylepis tree as well. There's 3 of these in here. Again, I just thought they looked quite sort of mountainous as well. Oh look, they're playing with each other. Oh, I love these little things. They're so good. Yeah, and that was sort of it really for the interior of the habitat. It wasn't an overly complicated thing to design. So you've got another little food treat here that he's just topping up. A couple more toys and things spread around. You've got a little scent marker thing up here as well. Little detail that I did on here was put one of these aircon units on both sides of this wall here, just to suggest, because again they're Arctic foxes, maybe they want the temperature in here to remain cool, so they'd have some sort of system here for cooling it down on the inside. I've got some lights in here as well. I also just put in a little sort of a cross section of beams up in here. It looked all a little bit too hollow here. I just thought it would look a bit more sturdy if there were some sort of cross beams. In fact, what I should probably do is have a beam coming right down through the middle of that as a support beam. I might have to come back and do that. I think that would make sense now that I'm looking at it again. That would probably make sense. So I might come back and do that. Yeah, there we go. So that is basically the habitat actually done. Which I really like. It's simple. It is simple. I'm not going to lie. I've not performed miracles. I've not done anything that you've probably not seen before. But it's a good habitat for these animals. They've got everything they need. They've got shelter, they've got rocks to play on, they've got their water with a little bubble machine in it as well. I'm pleased with how the colour palette looks. Lots of sort of almost looks washed out, you know, there's nothing bright in there. The only bright things are the animals themselves. And again, I didn't want artificial snow because that's just not realistic. So yeah, obviously the best feature is my staircase, which I'm very pleased with over here. And I like that this umbrella tree kind of climbs over it, so when you're standing here you've got this tree right over the top of you. I really like that. And it'd be nice to stand here and take a look in the window and see these little animals in their bed. They've got a massive bed. I mean, look how small they are. So yeah, realistically they would not have a shelter this big. But you know what? It's a game. I can forgive myself. There we go. So that's the aerial view as well. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Still continuing with our oh yes, I've got one of my old roofing ideas stuck up in the sky here, so I need to delete that. That was when I was experimenting with the bamboo, but I accidentally used the bamboo that you couldn't recolour, and I wanted it to be white, so I had to reuse it with the painted type. I just haven't got around to deleting that one yet. But yeah, I think it looks nice. It blends in again with the rest of the zoo because of the foliage. So there is actually one more cut for this episode, which is what I told you about at the start, which was this pathway coming in here. So I'll just show you that before the end of the episode. Also just put in this large tree here. This is the same one of these Dahurian larch trees. Put that in the middle of this, so that gets decorated as well in the triangle of the pathway here as well. So let me just show you that in our last cut, and that will be it for the episode. Well, in fact, one other thing that I did, because I'd forgotten to do it, was a small information board here. So it's actually quite a chunky board, but I kind of liked it. So it's wooden beam surround where you've got your information here. And then I put one of these information boards kind of sunk into the ground. So you can see this goes quite a way into the ground here, and that's got some stuff on there about climate change. I thought that was relevant to an Arctic animal, because obviously climate change has most effect in the Arctic. And then I covered up the back with some simple wooden planks there as well. And then I think I put one of them over here. Yeah, so I put one here on the pathway up against the raised walkway here. I also put a few lights as well, actually, so let me just show you that. Just put a few dot lights along the side of this staircase here, which I thought looked pretty cool, lighting up the pathway along that side there as well. So that was it for the habitat. That is all done now. And the other thing that I just wanted to show you was around here. So a simple log edging in here with some ferns and soil in this small triangle. And then this border down here that I created, I edged with logs and then just filled it in with some bracken and some shrubs, a few trees, continuing these lovely conifers and things. What have we got? Is this it's a cypress tree, this one? Yeah. So let me just come up and show you roughly what's gone in here. So again, just dotting stuff along, leaving plenty of soil on show as well. Getting some of these nice tall cypress trees in and some shrubs, but obviously leaving it open so as you're walking along you can see the animals as well. I'm not sure, yeah, you can't see the badgers because they're behind a barrier there. Didn't really feel correct to put in windows or anything here. I just wanted to leave that as it was. So yeah, all the way along here got a nice tall poplar tree there, which actually I think that was already there from when I did this habitat, and I've just incorporated it into the flower bed. So again, just dotting stuff along, lots of bracken. Got a little tree here. What's this one? The river bush wallow tree there. Around the corner, I think it looks really nice. It's a very simple thing to do, but it really finishes off an area, and in this case the habitat around the lemurs as well. And one of these trees at the end here, these lovely acers. Is this an acer? Japanese maple, yeah, an acer tree at the end there as well. And obviously the path then links back in to this pathway here. So there we go. So that looks really nice. I'm a big fan of this sort of thing. Just finishing off areas with a nice edging, bit of pathway, bit of flower beds or whatever. Really makes all the difference, I think. So there we go. So that is going to be it for this episode. I think this is coming along really nicely, this zoo, isn't it? I think it looks pretty good from up here now. So let me give you a spoiler for the next episode, which I might have already mentioned, and it's going to be in this gap over here. It's a good sized habitat. I actually haven't finished building it yet. I'm currently in the process of designing it. I will tell you the animal. It's going to be the American alligator. And it's going to have an underwater viewing area as well. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun at the moment designing that in this gap over here. And then I don't know what I'll be moving on to after that. I haven't decided yet, but there we go. That is it for today. So thank you very much, as always, for spending a bit of your spare time with me. I do appreciate your company. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, you could hit the little like button for me. That would really help me out, and I'd appreciate that a lot. And please do leave any comments if you have anything that you want to say, positive or negative. It's entirely up to you. And hopefully I will see you again very soon. So until then, take care and bye for now.